Is Aston Villa's success here to stay? They are on a fantastic run, Unai Emery in particular, since he came into the job just over a year ago. 89 matches in charge, 49 wins, 18 draws, 22 losses, 162 goals scored, 114 goals against. They've never had a 0-0 under Unai Emery.
Good start.
And Aston Villa have 6 wins from 6 at home this season, an amazing home record. He's done fantastically well. And I think the thing to remember with Aston Villa is that they're a big club, of course they are, but they haven't been at this top table for a long time. You know, the managers they had previously, they've been in the Championship during that time. They've sold their best player for 100 million. They've had to rebuild once again, and they've spent well. And Unai Emery feels like was that missing piece, and they are on such an incredible run right now. Do you think that they are running a little bit hot right now, or do you feel like Aston Villa are here to stay?
To be honest, I think when you look at there's a body of work there for Emery at Villa now. It's not like it's 10 games, 89 games is it's longer than I even realised, at Villa. And I think you've got to take them seriously. And I always think a great sides are built around the home form. They always are. And like I watch a side who, beaten 20 odd games, and obviously that's a lot to ask for Villa, but to win all your home games this season, eventually it becomes the norm. It becomes expectant, and teams start to fear you. And these are really positive indicators. You look for the signs to see it carry on. And to me, everything's showing real good.
That's a really good point as well, because I think importantly, I generally have a feeling that if you can get 2 points on average, then you're giving yourself a really good chance of being in those Champions League places. And if you're winning every game at home, you've only got to get yourself a draw away from home, and you're in the money. Fixtures up until Christmas, they've got Bournemouth away, Man City at home, Arsenal at home, Brentford away, and Sheffield United. Now, if Villa are able to win all of those games, that would put them on 43 points. If they only won those games, aside from Man City and Arsenal, which are very difficult games, that would put them on 37 points. Now, on Christmas Day last year, Arsenal were top of the league with 37 points. Now, me and you differ on this, Nubaid. Does that mean the league is easier or harder? Or why are they able to get that amount? Or again, are Aston Villa here to stay?
We're going to be here all day if we go next because I know we very, very strongly disagree on that point. On the point very quickly on whether they're here to stay, I think, as Steve just said there, they've gone on this run for such a long time. Emery's done brilliantly well. The one thing I would say is whether they're running hot in this case is they only have 5 injuries. Buendia and Mings are the only 2 real first teamers out. Compared to the rest of the league, most teams have 5 or 6 first teamers out. So it'll be interesting to see if that changes with injuries. One thing Emery's done really well is been adaptable. When they took on Spurs, he said, actually, you know what? We'll sit off and play on the counter. And previously, especially when he was at Arsenal, when the pressure was on, he was going, we're going to have to attack. When he's at Villarreal, he said, we'll sit back. That's the only thing we can do. I think he's now got players in his system that can allow him to attack, play on the counter, but then also at times they'll go and attack teams, especially at home, and play on the front foot. I do think the league is weaker, and so therefore when I look at Bournemouth, City, Arsenal, Brentford, Sheffield United, if they avoid losing to City, they'll definitely beat Bournemouth, Brentford and Sheffield United.
Clip it up. Okay, so the aim for Aston Villa, I presume, is top 4. In terms of the other challenges that they got against them, the injury thing is a really good point to make. That it's been a little bit easier for them, and again, the squad building I think has just been really impressive. It's a good midfield. To be fair, Jacob Ramsey, Buendia, they've had some players out, but they've been able to have players that sort of come in and sort it out for them. Who do you think is their biggest challenger when it comes to 4th position? Because I would put forward the idea that Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool will be the top 3 this year. Yeah. So then you have Newcastle, Man United, Tottenham. If you want to chuck in Brighton, you could do that, I guess. But I think you would imagine, or Chelsea if they go on a run as well. Who do you think is the strongest contender that would get in the way of that for Villa?
I would say right now it feels it's between Newcastle and Spurs. I mean, United always do tend to find a little bit of form towards the end and sort of just sneak their way in there. But I don't know. I feel like the signs aren't looking good for United this season. Right now, they feel a little bit too all over the place. And for me, I don't know. I think I'm going to go for Spurs. I'm a big Postecoglou fan. I think the injuries are the main reason they've slowed down. And I think there's something about Spurs. There's something about them. This feels grand at times. The way they're playing. Obviously, the stadiums are wonderful. There's such a positive energy, and I think it'd just be sort of beautifully poetic, actually, in a post-Kane world if they actually made that progression as well. I don't know. I think Spurs are the biggest threat. I think United are going to be 6th or 7th, I reckon.
The thing I would say that speaks to the fact that the league's got weaker. We're searching for teams that could potentially compete
no,
for
are
the
2
fourth.
teams
Because it's
worse?
stronger.
You know, are 2 teams worse? Yeah, I would say United, Chelsea worse, but I would think look at Emery's managing Aston Villa. You know, like, he's doing a wonderful job, and like that to me is a sign of strength. And they brought us some
But
great
you go in,
players.
okay, could Spurs compete? Maybe they will. I don't know because of the injuries, and they've gone from like they could win every single game to now, oh man, like we're actually not that good anymore. So then I'm going, the only thing for me is Newcastle. But it just depends how far they go in the Champions League, what happens if they end up in Europa, what days they're playing. Because at the moment they're saying with 10, 12 injuries, we can keep going. But we've been saying week after week, it's got to stop at some point.
Do you know what? I've changed my mind on that with Newcastle now. I think enough water under the bridge, is that the phrase I'm looking for? That I think if you look at how they play with the players that have been missing, I think it's Newcastle and Aston Villa for it. Because Man United, for all the points that they have, I believe in the performances sort of mattering and not being able to outrun XG to the extent that they kind of are right now. And I just feel like they might play better and still drop more points because I think they've had a lot of fortune with a lot of the late wins that they've had this year. Newcastle, on the other hand, in terms of the chance creation, the ability to go out in January and make some signings that could help bolster, and also Newcastle quite possibly being out of the Champions League as well, I think will all add to the to less injuries that will lead them to be able to manage the squad better and go on and make life very, very difficult. I would say in terms of that top 3, I still have a fun feeling if everything goes their way. I do see a world, where Aston Villa could definitely finish. I think they could finish second. I think if you go look at their squad, look at the quality in that midfield, look at the quality of the players that can come back, look at the quality of the centre backs that they have there. I think there's been some games where there's been an element of luck there, and I think importantly they might not win all the big games against the guys around them, but I think they beat everyone else and they score a lot of goals. They need to get fortunate with Watkins staying fit, but there's no reason with everything that's gone on this year, and I am of the opinion that actually the league is tougher, and that leads to teams dropping points, which means that it's up for grabs. And I think if it all goes their way, there's no reason why they can't finish second.